right. Well, we are now going to meet our next candidate for the Kootenai County Commissioner Seat 3, and that is Brett Surplus. And Brett, thank you for being here with us this evening. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself and explain why you're running for office?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me. Like you said, my name is Brett Surplus, and I'm a born and raised native here. I've seen a lot of growth in my 50 years. I've seen a lot of mistakes that have taken place on the management level, I would say. Normally, I wouldn't go for this job. I'm pretty happy with the job that I have doing real estate. Just watching everything that's taken place with the mistakes in the county, the wasteful spending, the common sense mistakes, and then also the question about, the future of the fairgrounds. That's pretty much what got me into, wanting to go ahead and step forward and kind of protect the community and my heritage that I'm here. That's what's drawn most people here, is because of our heritage. And I think at this time we need somebody who's molded from that heritage.
So we've got 3 questions. You're going to have 2 minutes for each of these. And the first question that we want to ask is, name one thing that the county commission could do to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Kootenai County. And what would you do to implement that?
Well, in the last 3 years, we've got a huge problem with growth. They talked about it in 2022, and to me, it's being irresponsible growth. We're at a point now where it's bottlenecking with our infrastructure. I think that they've abandoned sitting down with city councils and mayors and trying to, come up with a comp plan that's going to actually start to slow things down. The only thing that we have really, going on here right now, it seems like, is more, traffic construction and homes being built. So I'd like to see some more industry stuff come into play to actually accommodate the people of this community, especially the ones who've been here their whole life and whatnot. So I think we need to sit down and get with the cities and this, when it comes to the annexing, to be able to slow things down a little bit.
Great. So the second question we have for you, and again, you'll have 2 minutes for this. This is a contested primary election, and oftentimes in a primary election you have candidates from the same party running against one another, and it's a fair question to say, well, they're from the same party, how really are they different here, and what differentiates Brett from his opponent? Take a couple minutes and explain to the voters what makes you different from your candidate, your opponent, and and why folks should vote for you.
Well, with my background, I've got a background from law enforcement, banking, and then real estate. And if the people have paid attention to what's gone on as far as the county's concerned, like the Justice Building, for instance, we're $12 million over. The incumbent never was a foreman for that, took that responsibility on, and now we're $12 million over. Hasn't garnered the support of law enforcement. They keep talking about, well, we've got pay raises. They've had more pay raises. Well, pay raises is not putting us to the level of where we're losing. We've lost more money in training and people, $3.5 million in 10 years. So that's not, doing favors. That's doing catch up, right? And then on the other hand, we're also jeopardizing the people of this community by not doing the appropriate pay, to where we were down to 9 dispatchers for 180,000 people. And it took $200,000 to actually bring that back up to where we start having applications coming in. So it took money to resolve that problem. And it's an expensive mistake when we have to pay over $100,000 for 2 temporary dispatchers for 3 months. Now, if those people if they're not able to go ahead and hit the floor because it's a high tense job, it's $37,000 or so per month to keep them going. So these are costly mistakes that have taken place. and then getting sued from, the assessor when they went after their wages. That's, to me, is an government overreach. So all of these things are wasteful spending. It's not being, fiscally responsible. And it's common sense things that we need to get back to and hold on to our money.
Okay. So you mentioned growth as one thing that was affecting the quality of life here. Let's dig into that a little bit. It's definitely something that's at the top of a lot of people's minds here in Kootenai County. And how do we manage growth? And what do we do about it in the long term? Tell us what you would do in the long term, and what are the kinds of things the kinds of precise solutions that you would have to trying to address the long-term management of growth?
It comes back to that original question as far as getting people, the cities, back to the table with the county. The moment that the annexing takes place is when everybody's trying to help out their area, right? Their roads, putting roundabouts, trying to accommodate. It's no different than like as far as with Hayden, having that new 412 housing complex. You have all of these things that now, if you take, two drivers per house, now we have 824 more vehicles just coming out of that roadway. We've had 7 fatalities in the last, I don't know how long. So it comes to that bottleneck, and there has to be a comp plan that needs to be done, and we have to get everybody under the same agreement. We can talk about as far as, the aquifer is great. Oh, okay, but what's it going to look like in 5 years? What's it going to look like in 10 years? What are our children going to be left with? And maybe we need to start looking at as far as going, okay, do we start making certain developments where maybe they're 1 acre parcels like Dalton Gardens, or instead of trying to cram so many houses onto one parcel? I know builders don't like to hear that, but unfortunately, once you build it, you can't go back. It's there. So we need to think about as far as our area versus the dollar. It comes down to that.
Okay. Well, great, Brett. Appreciate those responses, and you'll now have 1 minute to give the voters of Kootenai County your final closing statement and why they should vote for you.
Having been here my whole life, I've watched a lot of change. For a lot of you new residents that have been here, you've been captured on as far as how the people are here, how we do things here. And I think that if you want to keep that, you need to have some sort of leadership that actually comes from that's molded from it. We've had too many issues that have gone on in the county that have cost us millions of dollars. We've had to pull from reserves to cover other things. These are common sense mistakes. And unfortunately, I'm at the point where I can't vote for the incumbent anymore. There comes a point where we have to separate friends and we have to say, it's just not working out. So if you want growth to continue, then I would say you can vote for the incumbent. If you want it to some sort of planning that's going to actually reduce it, then it'd be great to have your vote.
Great. Well, we sure appreciate the time with us this evening and helping the voters here in our community understand more about where you're at on these issues and help them in their decision about who to vote for.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.